The Toronto Raptors and the rest of the NBA are in the midst of an absolute crisis. The Raptors now have 8 players in health and safety protocols. Now, thankfully, the NBA has come to their senses about postponing tonight's game against the Chicago Bulls, but the Raptors have still signed 5 players to help get through the holiday period. So in today's video, we break down who these players are and what you can expect from them. Do any of them have a chance at making the real NBA roster? Let's get into it. Welcome NBA Raptors fans to Amateur Hour Sports. It's the channel where you get NBA content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors at least 4 different times a week. So if it is your first time here with me today and you like what you see, you want more of myself talking about the NBA and the Raptors in videos and content just like this, then make sure you are subscribed to the channel. You can help us on the road to 8,000 subscribers. Let's close out 2021 with a bang. Make sure you're subbed to help us along the way. But let's get down to business for today's video. 5 players have signed for the Toronto Raptors, who until today were essentially forced into signing these players to make sure that they could play in tonight's game. We saw suspensions and postponements all around the league. 2 included the Raptors in the last week, as the NBA decided the Bulls and the Magic were not fit to play against us on Monday and Thursday, respectively. But the Raptors, they were forced into making some drastic decisions today, and they still actually flew out to Chicago to play this game. And on that flight was OG Anunoby, who tested positive this morning. Oh my goodness, this does not make any sense why the NBA sent them to Chicago. OG Anunoby joins the lengthy list of 8 players who are now out for health and safety protocols. Let's look over the 8 players on this list. So the 8 players out in health and safety protocols for the Raptors as of the time of this video. It could grow, but as of the recording is Malachi Flynn, Gary Trent Jr., Fred VanVleet, Precious Achiuwa, Delano Banton, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, and now OG Anunoby. And until today, until very recently, the NBA said, nah, you gotta play, guys. So the Raptors had to reach into the G League to find 5 different players to help out to sign on a hardship exemption 10-day contract. And those 5 players the Raptors have decided to sign are Canadian and former lottery pick Nick Stauskas, point guards Brandon Goodwin and Tremont Waters, stretch forward Juwan Morgan, and power forward DJ Wilson. So we're going to go through a little bit of a breakdown of who these players are, give you a brief rundown of what to expect from them and why the Raptors may have signed them. Starting with the Canadian, the former lottery pick, 8th overall, local player to the area from Mississauga, Ontario, Nick Stauskas. Yes, Nick Stauskas, he's back with the Raptors organization after playing for the Raptors 905 in the G League last season. He is now playing for the Grand Rapids Gold, and he is putting on a decent season there, averaging 21 points per game, 6 rebounds on 43% shooting, 35% shooting from 3. Nick Stauskas spent 5 years in the NBA, where he played for 5 different teams after getting drafted by the Sacramento Kings. That's another one the Kings probably going to want back from draft night. And he was a sensational shooter with Michigan in college, which really got him such a high pick in the draft. But over the course of his NBA career, he was a good shooter, never really excelled into this tremendous shooter, and never really added any other part of his game to make him useful to a team. So after 5 seasons in the NBA, he bounced around a little bit. He was in Europe. Again, he was with the Raptors 905. Maybe he's found a home with the Grand Rapids Gold, and maybe he's really found his level in the G League, but he wants to work his way back up into the NBA. And what an opportunity playing for his hometown Toronto Raptors if he gets the opportunity to do so. Nick Stauskas, I mean, that 8th overall pick, we know he has the shooting. We know that he has the shooting, but are there any other parts of his game that he can add to contribute to an NBA team? Or is he more like a toned down version of Matt Thomas? I am probably going to go for the latter on that one, but it is a replacement player. Let's move on to the next one. So we signed 2 point guards, the first of those being Tremont Waters, who was a 51st overall pick, spent a couple seasons with the Boston Celtics, never really made any waves there. He is now playing for the Wisconsin Herd in the G League, where he's putting up about 17 points, 6 assists. This is a point guard who, is pretty shifty. He's 5'10", so he's got to use his speed to really make himself useful on the court, and he does a decent job of doing that for the Wisconsin Herd. The other point guard that we have brought in is Brandon Goodwin. The name may sound familiar, as he was playing with the Atlanta Hawks last season, but missed the playoffs due to a severe respiratory condition. And didn't get himself back into the NBA. He went to the Knicks, but then he was sent down to the Westchester Knicks to play in the G League as an affiliate, where he's putting up some moderately decent numbers, but there is some NBA talent within this player. He went undrafted, but did work himself into the league through the G League, and he's trying to do so again here. The Raptors have provided him some sort of opportunity to do so, and if players remain out and we have to play on Boxing Day, there could be an opportunity for him to earn a spot, maybe not with the Raptors, but another NBA team. The fourth player that we have brought in, this is probably the one I am the most excited about. It is Juwan Morgan, a bit of a stretch forward, playing in the small forward position. He really worked himself into the league as well after going undrafted, got himself a spot with Salt Lake City Stars in the G League, and worked himself up to the Utah Jazz, where he had not really much productivity in 2 seasons with the team. However, in the NBA bubble, he did start a playoff game. So it seemed like Juwan Morgan had found a home in the NBA with the Utah Jazz, but that home was short-lived. He's currently playing now with the Maine Celtics in the G League, where he has really upped his game this season, putting on some great numbers. He's averaging about 13 points per game with 7 rebounds on 56% shooting from the field and 39% shooting from 3. I did watch one of the Raptors 905 games against the Maine Celtics. I was present in attendance where Juwan Morgan put on a bit of a clinic from 3. This guy can definitely shoot and has showcased in the past an ability to be a contributor on an NBA team. I would say out of all 5 of these players, this one has the highest possible chance of actually cracking any sort of roster. There was a decent player in here. Let's see what the Raptors can get out of him in that short-lived contract. The 5th and final player the Raptors have brought in is former 17th overall pick DJ Wilson, a 6'10 power forward who also has some NBA experience. Right now he is playing though in the G League with the Oklahoma City Blue, averaging 14 points and 10 rebounds. In his prior seasons in the G League, where he has spent some time, he has showcased a little bit of an ability to space the floor, and I think that is what the Raptors are going for in this situation. Probably going to be using him as a center, somebody who can kind of sit in the corner and knock down some threes potentially. This season, only shooting about 28% from 3, but in prior seasons, found himself hovering in the mid-30s. So if he can get that sort of game back, maybe there is some potential for this player, again, who did go 17th overall. So those are the 5 players on this team. The Raptors have so many players missing, including all 5 of who would be their likely starters. And if you want to count Khem Birch as a starter, well, he's not in health and safety protocols, but he is injured. And there are some other players who are just actually injured as well, like Justin Champagnie and David Johnson. If the Raptors were actually going to play tonight, the roster would have been made up of only 4 out of 5 of the players I just mentioned, because Nick Stauskas would not have been available. And of the regular roster, it only would have been Isaac Bonga, Svi Mykhailiuk, Yuta Watanabe, and Chris Boucher, along with 4 of those replacement players. So that would have been an ugly game. That basically would have just been giving the game away to the Chicago Bulls. I am so thankful the NBA came to their senses and decided to postpone this game. The Raptors really needed it. They need to regroup and hopefully get players back for the 26th and 28th. I think the NBA ultimately, it's in crisis mode. It's probably within their best interest to just take a couple of weeks off to help get everybody sorted. I get that, this is just something that we have to live with in 2021 and in 2022. However, we're putting a lot of safety at risk here. We're putting a lot of safety at risk of the players who just flew to Chicago unnecessarily, who were on a plane with a player who tested positive in OG Anunoby this morning. That seems a little bit senseless. We have to live with it, but it could be useful to have 2 weeks to get tighter restrictions in place and to get tighter protocol in place to help NBA teams combat this. So huge outbreaks within the organization are far less likely to happen. I understand that it's not just going to go away and that we kind of have to fight through it as a race here, as a human race here. However, there's safety at risk here. I just think it would be within the best interest to kind of simmer down for a couple of weeks. I get the NBA wants to get through the holiday period, especially Christmas, because for ratings, they want to get that extra little bit of revenue. It is what it is. It's capitalism, but the NBA, I think it is within their best interest to shut it down for a couple of weeks and just regroup. It doesn't seem like that is going to happen, though, so we may see all 5 of these guys that the Raptors have signed on hardship exemption. So what can we expect? Can we expect any of them to crack an NBA roster? The Raptors really had a theme with these players. They found some decent players who have shown some moderate efficiency within the G League, who have NBA experience, possibly have been drafted higher up than they probably should have done, but there's definite experience there from a college standpoint, from an NBA standpoint, and from a G League standpoint for all 5 of these players. The Raptors have just kind of gone with some safe players here to help them get through this period. And I think that's all it is. It's just to help them get through this period. Unless any of them, which I highly doubt, absolutely explode onto the scene, I can't see them remaining with the Raptors, and I can't really see them going to any other NBA team either. It's a great opportunity for these guys to earn maybe something extra, but the reality is it's probably not going to come to anything. It's just a very difficult period for the Raptors. They need some replacement players. That's all they really are. So what do you guys make of these 5 players? Which one is your favorite? I'm going to go with Juwan Morgan, but I want to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that is it for me for today. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. Please, if you did enjoy the video, give a like, help support the channel, help other people reach the channel and see some great Raptors content. And also make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you are new. We do 4 videos a week at least. I mean, sometimes we do 5, and you can keep up to date with all those videos by subscribing. Big button in the middle of the screen. It is so easy to subscribe to the channel. Hover over the button and click that subscribe button right there. We'll see you again next time for another video.